Welcome to Around San Diego. So glad to have you with me. I'm CBS 8's Jenny Day. I'll get you caught up on our top stories and look ahead in just 30 minutes. So this week marked 20 years since the devastating Cedar Fire. It burned through more than 273,000 acres, killing 15 people and destroying more than 2,800 buildings. Longtime CBS 8 anchor Barbara Lee Edwards spent nearly 10 hours right here in this studio the first day of the Cedar Fire, bringing vital news to San Diegans. She got the call on a Sunday morning to come into work, leaving her husband, young daughter, and 2-month-old son at home to drive into work through those ashy gray skies. She shares her memories with our Marcella Lee.
This is Local 8 News at 6.
Good evening and welcome to Local 8 News at 6 o'clock as you join us for our continuing coverage of San Diego on fire. I'm Barbara Lee Edwards. This situation...
It's been 20 years.
Yes.
What are your memories from the first day of the fires?
The first day of the fire I remember really vividly.
These are pictures from the Scripps Ranch area where at least 150 homes have been destroyed.
You have this sense of, my God, this is awful. We need to cover this. We need to let people know. We need to warn people.
You are in danger. You need to leave the area immediately.
We need to tell them what they need to do. We need to help. And when we started getting information that there were fatalities.
9 deaths are being blamed directly on the fires.
It was devastating for everybody, and I couldn't even imagine what it was like for those families. You just did your best to keep carrying on with the job, the task at hand, because it was just such a vital service. People needed that information.
That includes Kaiser. They have phoned us to say that they do want their employees to come in to work tomorrow. We're going to go down to Carlo Cicchetto now.
Let's stop and just react to this for a moment.
Well, this was some new guy, and we kept having trouble with his name. I may have called him Geppetto at one point.
So we're going to head down to Otay Lakes now. Carlo Cicchetto has the latest on the situation down there. Carlos?
Yeah, Otay Lake is...
I got to know him a little bit, though, over the years, though, so now I know that that is our Carlo Cicchetto, who, by the way, had been here for a matter of weeks when he was thrown out there to do this fire coverage. Like I'm saying, it was a learning experience for everyone. It was all hands on deck, and everybody did an amazing job. And of course, Jeff Zevely, solid as ever.
If you live in this area, your stuff is safe tonight.
What was your main goal?
To tie it all together.
Even though the wind has died down and people are not allowed back at their homes.
You know, a lot of people were emailing and saying things like, for animals that need to be evacuated, that you can bring them here, but then if anyone else hears about this, if you have food or anything that you can bring, we need more help in this area. So as we're covering the fire, we're also doing these incredibly important public service announcements. You just really felt the sense of how important it was that you were there for them.
In the program, but right now we're going to go to one of the biggest and first evacuation centers set up today, and that was at Qualcomm Stadium. Our Beth Shelburne.
We actually stopped going to commercial break after a while.
Barbara Lee,
we just knew this was going to have to be wall-to-wall coverage. There was nothing, simply nothing more important than the information we were bringing people at that time. And because there was a lack of social media, you really wanted to get graphics up on the screen.
Nearly 600 homes have been destroyed.
And keep reminding people this is what's happening. We couldn't refer them to anything. We had to be that source of information.
It was a completely different time as far as technology is concerned.
And we also had to go over to the radio station, and they would pick up our signal, because it's not like somebody could take their iPhone with them and then start streaming it once they got in the car. So we wanted to get the message out any way we possibly could. If you think about these people having to leave spur of the moment, but they don't know where to go, once they're in their car, how are they going to know where to go? So they started picking up our broadcast signal on radio as well.
And to see the images we're looking at now, watching homes burn down in real time.
Scripps Ranch has been so hard hit today, Heather.
How did you internalize that?
It was a whole mix of emotions, because a lot of people that were seeing their homes burn down really emphasized they're just glad everyone got out safely. But if you waited a second, you could see it was a little more than that when they turned back toward the devastation, and you realize that everything is lost.
I'm devastated.
Every emotional, valuable memento, baby pictures. A lot of people lost things that simply couldn't be replaced.
It took a while for the community to heal and recover.
It was just a big scar across the landscape, and it really drove home what a horrible beast fire is.
Now, many of you may be wondering how you can help.
We started the phone banks the next day. everyone wanted to help. It's the one positive thing that can come out of something so devastating as the incredible sense of community in San Diego County. It's just amazing.
Anything else you want to reflect on?
Well, for me, I can honestly say that sort of set the tone for the rest of my career.
Wildfires still burning out of control from Escondido to Alpine.
I was sitting on the desk for the majority of the day with the late, great Michael Tuck, who was the consummate professional and so good at covering breaking news that I actually felt a sense of calm covering this crazy breaking tragedy with him because he was so in control.
And that is our news for now. We thank you very much for joining us.
And I would like to think that after that day, I was able to take a bit of that with me in stories and events that I covered in future years.
And she indeed did such a great job. I myself was a junior in high school at Grossmont and remember it well. Many of you, of course, also know that Barbara Lee spent nearly 20 years here until she retired just last year after suffering a brain bleed. A lot of you do ask about her, and she wants everyone to know that she takes life more slowly these days, but is doing well. And since the Cedar Fire, there have been several improvements to the way that CAL FIRE responds to a wildfire. One big upgrade to our firefighting array today is greatly improved air support. CBS 8's Shannon Handy has a story on one company's efforts to keep us all safe.
Before the Cedar Fire, SDG&E didn't have any helicopters solely dedicated to fighting fires. Now they have 5, 2 of which are committed year-round.
In the 20 years that have passed since the devastating Cedar Fire, a lot has changed to ensure nothing like that ever happens again.
We are ready to go 365 days a year.
Tom Porter is the Director of Emergency Management for SDG&E. Prior to this role, he spent his career serving in local and state fire agencies. He says combating wildfires is a collaborative effort, one SDG&E now plays a major role in.
With the fires that have been caused by utilities here in San Diego as well as across the state, we have really upped our investment in hardening of our entire system.
SDG&E wasn't at fault for the Cedar Fire, but the utility company was found liable for the Witch Creek Fire in 2007 after powerful Santa Ana winds blew down one of their power lines. More than 240,000 acres burned and nearly 1,300 homes were destroyed. In the years that followed, SDG&E started investing more money in mitigating wildfires.
In the past 15 years, the company has invested over $5 billion, that's $1 billion, in reducing the risk of wildfire in our area. That's both in our system as well as working to do fuels reduction in our communities and then supplying these helicopters.
Of the 5 helicopters they have, 3 are primarily used for fixing and installing power poles, but are capable of surveying fires and escorting fire officials both day and night. But 2 are solely dedicated to firefighting, including this air crane, one of the best tools in the industry. I'm inside the air crane, which has the capability of dropping 2,650 gallons of water on a fire. That's the equivalent of 5 fire trucks worth, and it can collect that water in less than a minute.
So it'll hover over the water source and then pump water from the source into itself and fill that tank in 45 seconds.
In comparison, this Blackhawk can drop 850 gallons of water. Both are for the exclusive use of San Diego County. Porter says since they were added, there hasn't been a major wildfire in our area. Shannon Handy, CBS 8.
Shannon, important stuff. Thank you, as always. Well, San Diego County is encouraging more people to get vaccinated for Mpox after 11 new cases were diagnosed just this month. Since last summer's outbreak, there have been nearly 500 Mpox cases here in San Diego County. Mpox infections usually cause flu-like symptoms, rashes, or sores that last about 2 to 4 weeks. County officials say the vaccine is safe and widely available at no cost. For more information, you can call 211 or make an appointment through myturn.ca.gov. Well, take a look at this. New photos show a woman who was stuck for 16 hours in a cave in Far East County. The 29-year-old woman got stuck on Saturday while trying to get through a narrow space inside Thunder Canyon Cave. The area she was in was just 12 inches wide. Wow. So we are now hearing from a rescuer who says it took more than 2.5 hours just to get to her.
There are several more tight passages where you're squirming along kind of like this, and your pack doesn't fit on your back. You got to pull it behind you.
Oh, no, thank you. I mean, it's very cool to see, but wow. So the team got to her on Saturday, and then she didn't get out of the cave until 9 a.m. on Sunday. Well, a 14-year-old is in the ICU after developing a severe complication from E. coli linked to a local restaurant. 13 probable cases have been tied to Miguel's Cocina in 4S Ranch. 7 required hospitalization. 1 teen even had a severe complication impacting the liver.
Not everybody gets really sick with this. You might just have a little bit of diarrhea and abdominal pain. The more significant symptoms are if you find blood in your stool, if you have severe stomach cramps, if you're not able to keep down fluids.
Yeah, county health inspectors have not identified any major risk factors for foodborne illness at the restaurant. Miguel's Cocina closed voluntarily and says it is undergoing a deep cleaning.
This is what we need, action with impact.
Yeah, the county is moving forward with a new plan that may provide some relief for people living near the Tijuana River Valley. It includes dredging or removing trash and debris to prevent flooding in more areas. The group Wild Coast, says that tires and plastic flow into the ocean when it rains, really hurting our environment. This is an issue in addition to the sewage contamination from Mexico. Just this week, the Silver Strand reopened, but pretty much all of Imperial Beach is still closed. Well, United Airlines flight attendants say they want a new contract with a cut of the airline's profits. Thursday, thousands hit the picket line at airports across the country, including San Diego International Airport. The United Association of Flight Attendants says that United made $15 billion in revenue in the third quarter, but flight attendants say they haven't been paid fairly. They also haven't been under contract since 2021 because both sides have not been able to reach an agreement.
We're trying to get the company to get back to the table, get the negotiations done, and let's get a ratified agreement onto the property.
So the demonstration was not a strike. In a statement, United Airlines says they are making good progress in negotiations. It says flights operated as planned while flight attendants picketed. Well, a freshman football quarterback at the University of San Diego has filed a lawsuit claiming sexual hazing by football players inside on-campus locker rooms. The football player left USD in August after the alleged incidents. CBS 8's David Gottfredson takes a closer look at the lawsuit that he claims.
Into the end zone they go. Touchdown, Toreros.
Freshman quarterback A.J. Perez says the hazing first started 8 days after he showed up for football practice on August 1st at the University of San Diego. It continued on campus until he was so humiliated, he said he left the football team and the university on August 17th. Perez filed this lawsuit on Monday, seeking damages for physical injuries, hazing, and emotional distress.
And the ball comes out.
In the lawsuit, Perez alleges he was forced to participate in a so-called rookie show inside the USD locker room where upper-class football players allegedly drank booze and used drugs, while about 30 rookies were coerced to perform graphic sexual acts and dance naked. If they did not agree, the rookies would get hit with wooden spoons, the lawsuit alleges, and quote, plaintiff also felt that if he did not perform in some way, it could jeopardize his career as his teammates would not block or catch for him. The lawsuit also claimed several USD coaches had previously been players who participated in similar hazing rituals. Torero's head coach Brandon Moore is new to the university. Here's what Moore told CBS after being hired in the spring.
I'm eager to have an opportunity to just go out and lead the way that I do and maybe bring a couple more championships back home.
The university issued a statement saying in part, it was Coach Moore who, upon first hearing of the allegations, immediately reported them to the university and in conjunction with leadership, temporarily halted the entire program and initiated an internal inquiry which resulted in preliminary suspensions. Now, this lawsuit goes into very graphic detail about hazing incidents that we simply cannot describe on television. The lawsuit is publicly available on the San Diego court website, and we'll just leave it at that. The university says they are conducting an internal investigation, and they cannot comment further until that investigation is complete. At USD, David Gottfredson, CBS 8.
David, we appreciate it. And Perez's attorney says that his client would not comment on the lawsuit, which at this point is only filed against USD. No players or coaches are named as defendants. Well, a man on trial for kidnapping and sexually assaulting a woman 24 years ago has been found guilty. We were there for closing arguments on Tuesday. Mark Hunter was accused of raping a 19-year-old woman in Escondido back in 1999. It took decades for DNA to link him to the crime. Now a jury has found him guilty of 7 felony charges, including kidnapping and rape. A sentencing date will soon be determined. Well, Realtor.com's September rental report is out and shows rent prices dropped for the 5th straight month nationwide. Although this is good news, rent prices are down less than 1% than they were last September. The report shows the average rent price in San Diego dropped 2% from last year. The median price for a 1 to 2 bedroom apartment is $2,891 per month. This could suggest a trend of softening in the rental market, but is a minor discount to where rents have been.
So nationwide, the savings are about $30 compared to the peak, and that's $30 every month. So that it does add up, but it's not going to be a huge step change for households that are feeling that their budgets are stretched.
Yeah, so even though more housing is being built at high rates, prices aren't going down because really demand is quite high still. And San Diegans are reacting to reports of a sales tax hike in the city of San Diego. According to the UT, city leaders are considering a ballot measure to raise it. Right now, San Diego's sales tax is 7.75%. Officials haven't confirmed the proposal or how much a hike would be, but people we talked to not happy about it.
We're barely getting by, and the only good luck we've gotten was just a little bit, gas is going a little bit lower, but every cent counts nowadays.
The watchdog group San Diego Taxpayers Association is asking to be involved in those discussions with the city to make sure your tax dollars are spent in your best interest. Well, former Padres manager Bob Melvin is now wearing the orange and black of the San Francisco Giants. Wednesday, Melvin was formally introduced as the new manager of the Friars' NL West rivals. It was also an opportunity for us in the media to talk with Padres GM and president of baseball operations, AJ Preller. Here's what both had to say about the breakup.
You know, my intention the whole time is that we were gonna move forward with Bob. And I think even as recently as last week in Arizona, sat down with Bob for a few hours and went through the coaching staff and the roster. And, as the Giants called and asked permission, we made the decision to go present it to Bob, and, fully understanding that if he didn't want to take it, we were excited about him being our manager going forward.
Really don't want to get too much into the San Diego situation other than the fact that I really enjoyed my time there. Some things transpired last year in a difficult year for the team with high expectations. I think there was a narrative at the end that probably wasn't going to go away, but I very much enjoyed my time in San Diego. It just seems like with a lot of things that were popping up there, it just was time to move on.
So no word right now on who the next managers for the Padres will be. We'll certainly keep you posted. Well, fake grass could make for a better looking lawn, but some are saying it's a health risk and it could be banned in San Diego. A new law allows local city authorities to ban synthetic turf. CBS 8's Ariana Cohen spoke with the state senator who authored the bill and a local business owner that could be hurt if turf gets restricted.
Lots of San Diegans switched over to synthetic grass as a way to deal with the drought and help the environment. Well, now local governments could ban it, and that's not going over well. Governor Gavin Newsom signed a bill allowing local governments to ban artificial turf in residential areas. This will reverse part of a 2015 bill that stripped local governments of that power.
That was a decision that was made because of the drought situation and the sense that the use of artificial turf was better in terms of water use.
State Senator Ben Allen authored the bill. He says synthetic grass could pose some risks, such as dangerous carcinogens found in the turf.
The risk that we continue to read about is links to cancer. And I don't want to alarm people. I'm not trying to say that if you have an artificial grass, you're going to get cancer. That's not what I'm saying. But we have found a link between some of the chemicals that are present in this plastic grass to cancer.
Other concerns include plastic pollution in runoff.
I mean, how many millions of dollars did they give out to encourage people, rebate programs, all this stuff, to put artificial grass in your house, to conserve water?
I spoke with Robbie Brockman, who owns Synthetic Lawn Solutions in El Cajon.
It's extremely frustrating, and I feel like even just putting this in the air for us, you know what I mean? There's going to be quite a few people that are all of a sudden be like, artificial grass is bad. Don't do that. How many high schools, football fields, sports fields, all this stuff that have artificial grass? You know what I mean? Like, it's everywhere. It's everywhere here.
He fears he could lose his business if the city decides to ban or put restrictions on artificial grass.
Artificial grass is the bread and butter of my business. I mean, it's probably a good 70% of what we do. So it would definitely be a huge hit for us.
Look, I mean, there's nothing in this bill that takes away turf. We are simply giving cities and counties the right to regulate it. It's not my job to protect our industry, right? It's my job to be looking out for all these other various factors.
Ariana Cohen, CBS 8.
Yeah, been a debate for a long time now. Ariana, thank you. Well, a local dog evades cars and capture after he took off full speed onto the 163 over the weekend. So this really could have come to a horrible end, but it didn't. Instead, several officers, some good Samaritans, and one little irresistible Frenchie saved the day.
He's not an outside dog, he's a house dog. So I was like, how did he find his way to the freeway?
Hello.
This is Baloo, a 1.5-year-old Chow Chow recovering at home tonight after his traumatic weekend running loose on the 163.
He ran out of the house, just straight out of our door.
Baloo lives with his family in a neighborhood near the zoo, but Saturday he took off and they could not find him.
It was the worst experience we've ever had, and everyone was telling me it's just a dog, and I'm like crying, you don't understand, he's not just a dog.
They had no idea officers were shutting down the 163 because of Baloo.
The cops are driving on the side of the freeway. I think and the other side was closed.
Christine and her little Frenchie were on the 163 when traffic stopped. She saw a Chow Chow running on the freeway with officers and others close behind.
You should never chase a dog when it's scared. It's going to keep running. So the best thing to do is have the dog come to you.
Christine is a dog walker and wanted to help.
So I asked the cop if she wanted me to take my dog Mula out to stop her, and she said no.
Christine ran an errand, and when she came back on the 163, Baloo was still loose. This time, Christine pulled over.
When I got Mula out of the car, first she looked around, and I was like, go, Mula, go.
This is the moment Christine took Mula's leash and secured Baloo.
In that very moment, I just wanted to stop traffic, get that dog, and that's all I really cared about.
Baloo's family is grateful. Christine and others took the time to save their dog. Linda says officers on the scene told her she'll get a citation in the mail since it took so much manpower and they had to shut down the freeway. She's relieved, though, to have Baloo home.
I was crying. I was thinking the worst of the worst. I thought we were never going to see him again.
What a cutie. Good outcome. Thanks, Anna. Well, now to a new development in the legal fight over this $300 million Russian super yacht that is still docked in National City. This week, the owner sued the U.S. government for its return. Following that, the Justice Department countersued to take ownership, saying the boat belongs to a Russian billionaire with U.S. sanctions. Right now, though, there is confusion on who owns the yacht. Again, one with sanctions and one without. The Amadea was seized off the coast of Fiji last year and brought here under a U.S. warrant after several Russian oligarch assets were seized. The U.S. wants to auction the yacht and use that money to help rebuild Ukraine, but right now it is costing taxpayers about $1 million a month just for upkeep. Well, county officials are turning to new practices to combat drug use in schools. The announcement comes during Red Ribbon Week, an annual push to educate kids about the dangers of drugs. The county says the new tools include a series of videos on drugs that show children even a small dose has the power to be deadly. The videos also feature the county's ambassador for alcohol and drug prevention, Rockwell Heron, who explains the dangers of vaping, marijuana, opioids, specifically fentanyl, and other deadly drugs. The videos also show how to handle peer pressure and how to ask for help.
I know we can't control a child's decisions, but as a society, we can control the information they possess. We can control their perceptions of those choices.
What they're doing. So recent data shows in San Diego County there were more than 1,300 drug overdose deaths just last year. Well, young women of color are learning about Black history on a new level. Drone pilots are using mapping technology to learn more about an often overlooked chapter of San Diego history from East County. CBS 8's Abby Black shares how a young generation of women are rewriting history.
Efforts are being made to rewrite Black history here in San Diego. There's a group of young BIPOC drone pilots that are using technology to become historians.
I'm really into aviation.
Drone pilot Cheyenne Smith is also into learning about her Black culture.
It's growing up, like being African American, I feel like there's a lot of my history that I don't know. Just because it's not often taught in schools.
Now she's using STEM to write another chapter in Black history. She and a group of 16 to 19-year-old BIPOC women known as historians are ambassadors for the San Diego-based nonprofit Our Genetic Legacy Drone Project.
Taking back history that is male-centered, that is also Eurocentric. We're taking back history and just making it our history.
By using LiDAR drones and other geospatial technology, historians are mapping Serenity Ranch, where San Diego County's first Black landowner, Nathan Harris, once lived in the Palomar Mountains, and also Julian Cemetery.
Julian was actually a place where the gold rush was occurring, so there was a lot of slavery over there. I had been taught that California had no slavery.
And we know that there were a lot of indigenous peoples. We know that there were, a lot of African Americans. And where do they go? Because we don't see that represented in Julian now in terms of the actual population there.
Shelley Baxter's been a genealogist for 20 years and founded Our Genetic Legacy to help fill the wide gaps in Black history.
As you see the commercials from Ancestry and you're just like, oh, I send in the sample, it's going to come back, the lights will dim, the movie will play, and I'll know who I am. And for people of color, it's just not that way because there's so many missing records.
Currently, the team is raising $75,000 to travel to Ghana in the UK next month, where they will map the transatlantic slave trade.
It's hard because, of course, you don't want to hear about your ancestors having to take their last bath before knowing their fate, but it's important.
An important chapter where young Black women are going to new heights to rewrite her history.
I get to hear a part of history and really experience and fully immerse myself in a part of history that was almost erased.
For Innovate 8, Abby Black, CBS 8.
Good stuff, Abby. And Our Genetic Legacy is using the historical information they learn about Black culture to develop a virtual museum that anyone in the world can access. To learn more about their efforts, go to cbs8.com. Well, now in honor of Filipino American History Month, we are spotlighting a local Filipino comedian who's really become a viral sensation. CBS 8's Ariana Cohen met up with J.R. de Guzman in Encinitas. Ariana.
J.R. de Guzman was born in the Philippines and now he lives in San Diego. What's different about him is he tells jokes with an instrument.
What's a Filipino?
I met J.R. de Guzman inside Corinne de Ria, a Filipino restaurant in Encinitas.
Said a Filipino here, a Filipino there. Check under your pillow, Filipinos everywhere.
A local comedian with nearly 600,000 followers on TikTok and Instagram combined.
Asian guys can smash, not just breaks in karate class.
He He's been on a comedy tour across the globe, including Canada, Philippines, and the U.S. He's even had 2 sold-out shows at San Diego's Balboa Theater.
By the way, I'm not Chinese, I'm Filipino.
Many of his jokes are inspired by his family.
They're all dentists, and I'm the one comedian, I'm the black sheep.
Especially his father.
He came up to me, he's like, JR, I have a joke for you. You know, my wife, I hate her. Oh, that's it, that's the joke.
He hopes his comedy brings more recognition to the Filipino community.
Shout out to all the Filipinos. You know, it's just, Filipinos, there's so much talent in our community, but we're not represented equally to the amount of talent that we have in entertainment and in media. So it's just important for me to represent our culture.
And believes laughter can unite us all.
Everybody get a Filipino in your life, you know? Find one out there, take one home, take it on a family trip. It's just, we're the best. Oh, yeah.
He says there could be some surprise pop-up performances around San Diego in the near future. I'm Ariana Cohen for CBS 8.
Back to you.
Laughter, indeed, the best medicine. Ariana, thank you. Well, as always, thank you to you for your time. Thanks for staying informed. For CBS 8, I'm Jenny Day. Take such good care.